the focus is now here. Perfect. So listen, let's start this off, Satya, with you're here. This is more than symbolic. This is about who we are as a company and where we're going. I mentioned to the audience before you came out, I'm 32 days here, and part of the reason I'm here is our bold ambition of what we're trying to do around the world and achieving more. But let's start it with a personal question to you, Satya, around what education has meant in your formulation as an individual, as a leader of this great company, and where you see technology as part of the future for education going forward.
Yeah, first of all, it's so cool to be here on a Friday with all of you because I as Tony just said, when I think about what's core to Microsoft, what got me here 24 years ago was this notion of empowerment. Microsoft has always stood for being that democratizing force that made access to technology possible. And the sense of empowerment that one has. It could be a kid in schools, or it could be a factory worker managing an assembly line and digital technology, and how it in some sense brings the very best in them. Because I always believe that, which is it's ultimately the human ingenuity that matters, and technology helps. And there is no better community than this group of teachers. Then you are the personification of empowerment. And when we talk about education, what is the importance of education? The importance of what you do on a daily basis is you are empowering kids to be the very best they can be, to realize their potential. And I think in the intro remarks you were making, you were thanking them for the service that they do to humankind. And I want to start by echoing that, because I think what you do is perhaps the most important thing that one could find in any profession, which is change lives in a very profound way, and you get them started very early on. And so to me, it's meant a lot. I like to think about myself as a lifelong learner. It's in fact, if anything, that's been my dad. I remember telling me a long time ago, I think after I did very badly in some exam, saying, don't worry, there will be one more. And that helped, knowing that there is no such thing as you finish your exams and you're done. And lately, one of the things that I have talked about, and you heard me talk about, in fact, comes from someone who's, I think, thought about this in the context of education. There's a psychologist at Stanford, Carol Dweck. She's written a book called Mindset, which I'm sure all of you are much more familiar with than I am. But I mean, it's changed my own perspective, because I think having that growth mindset makes all the difference. So when we talk about even the transformation inside of Microsoft, it's not just technology. We'll talk a lot more, I'm sure, about technology, but it's as much about the individual mindsets and having that growth mindset. And the way I can attribute it very clearly, my mom was a teacher, and I can clearly attribute my own approach to life to the teachers who influenced me through my life. And so it means a lot, and so therefore it's fantastic to be here with you all.
Thank you, Satya. And so we both have parents that were teachers, and so you know the pressure when your mother's the teacher that you need to get the best grades in the class. You will hear about it in the evening as well. But achieving more is part of where we're going with this empowerment. And it's interesting, as I said, I've worked for a number of companies, and to be with Microsoft, we have a CEO who's put a bold challenge out that we're going to empower every person on the planet. Let's talk about that in the context of the technology that we are building and refining. You are traveling the world, you have a global perspective, we're a global company, and you've got 87 countries represented here, Satya, so we have our own United Nations here. Let me just ask you, what do you see are the key trends that are happening in the education space as well as the technology that are driving?
I mean, I think in terms of the changes that are being brought about by digital technology broadly are perhaps more profound than ever in our history, because I think of all of computing as having had three phases. The first phase was where computers did work, and we just used them like an accounting machine. The second phase was computers helped us do work. And I think we are now really reaching a phase of computing where computers are, in fact, going to augment our work. That's how I look at it. I don't think we'll ever get to the stage of replacement. There's definitely going to be, with all technologies from the steam engine to today or the wheel to today, there's always going to be displacement. But the more important place we're ending up is, what's technology doing to our lives, be it at home or at school or at work, and how is it augmenting the experience? And take education. It's just stunning to me now. I mean, I sign up for every MOOC that is available, except that I never finish anything. But nevertheless, it is just amazing to see the access. I mean, let's just start with that. The access to content is everywhere. I remember when I first signed up for the first MOOC, I did, in fact, hardly finish it, but one of the most fascinating things I found was the discussion threads on the MOOC. So it's the student participation, and the student participation was from all over the world. So the entire instruction and how one goes about that is changing. I had a chance to visit a local school district recently, the Sammamish School District. You know, we at Microsoft have been obsessed about pens. You know, Bill in particular, because Bill doodles. I don't know if you know that, but he kind of brings this thing and he's a big doodler. And he loves inking, and we've always been fond of digital inking and tried to push that. And when I went to that school and saw kids use OneNote, the teachers enable OneNote in the classroom, and what it could mean, because now there's all kinds of research which I think you know more about than I do in terms of how important writing is to learning. And to be able to see that, which is a change in input-output in a digital technology, and what it could mean to learning, is huge. I have a kid with some learning issues, and one of the things that and fine motor skills. And so the inclusiveness of digital technology is another thing that's making a huge difference. I think about what Kinect is doing, what gestures are doing. And to be able to sort of fundamentally now even use technology to make education not just accessible to the people who can learn, but also change what learning means to those who have, let's say, learning issues. So I think that fundamental shift that I think we can achieve in what we do, or you do as educators through technologies that we provide, is just very, very profound.
I'm really touched by that. I know with one of the young educators from Ireland, we spoke on Wednesday about, I too have 5 children, and 2 of them have attention challenges. And OneNote, had I had OneNote years ago, just the ability to organize the information, and many of you commented on what that means to take the stigma off of different learning challenges, and you all had great dialogue there. But look, this is an audience that, this is a leader, I will tell you, that is always open to input and feedback. It's been one of the most exciting and recognizable things about Microsoft is that we're always looking to learn and take feedback. We have an audience that is used and are experts in using some of the technology that has been built in the learning environment. So we've got some microphones planted, I believe, around the room. And with the balance of time that we have with this amazing CEO, I just want, and you all aren't a shy group because I met you Wednesday, so don't pretend. And anybody who's wearing a cape, particularly don't pretend to be shy if you have a purple OneNote cape on. Let's pose some questions here to Satya about Microsoft and education. Do we have some questions?
And while you're lining up for that, I think the one thing I wanted to sort of also say, just in terms of technology and the impact, one of the new technologies, hopefully you at least had a chance to see the video. Hope very soon you'll be able to even get your hands on this, is the HoloLens. We showed the Cleveland Clinics and Case Western University working with us to create the curriculum for for medical students. That is just another mind-blowing experience, I'll tell you, because I wish I had that. I mean, my life's ambition has always been that someday I'll understand Maxwell's equations.
And if only I had it, I was thinking, oh my God, I would have got it and I would have been better off for it. But I think no kid now can go through electrical engineering and say, I don't know Maxwell's equation.
Taking all the accountability there. Okay, we have a question over here.
Thank you. Many thanks to Microsoft for the initiative they are making. I have a question for Satya. He's doing a great job. But my question is consideration from Africa. Is connectivity. We have challenges in terms of connectivity and power. And most Microsoft products, you find them, they are always online. Are you also considering maybe like to create a situation whereby we can have offline products such that we can just make them as apps for free notes? That's one. And then in future, you may put a program for African students so that we can move together because there is potential in Africa. If you can put a program whereby you supply SAFs, because like in Zambia where I come from, we don't have those.
Supply what? So
The surface.
surface. Oh, yeah.
The surface.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, thank you.
Both, look, to me, one of the things that also matters a lot in our mission when we say we want to empower every individual and organization on the planet to achieve more, the planet piece is super important. And I think that there are things that we do well and have done well with Windows and Office in particular and making it truly global products, but we have a long way to go, and I register that. To your very specific question on both internet access as well as how should we go about getting people applications and devices even where access is scarce. The first thing I'm very excited, especially in Africa, of what we are doing, and there are many pilots. I should go check back if it's happening in Zambia, but I'm familiar with what we've done in Ghana, what we're doing in Kenya, and a couple of other places, but we want to do this very universally, is working, in fact, with the local service providers. Because I think it's very, very important, because sometimes people come out and talk about, and just because we're in the West Coast of the United States and we have some ambition, doesn't mean we can just go all over the world and do some strange things. We have to work with sovereign governments and local entrepreneurs to be able to solve what are systemic issues. So in this case, in Ghana, we work with the local ISP to provide rural access, in fact, to the schools, using TV white space. It turns out the way spectrum is used, there is space between unused TV channel space, and we have some very good technology from Microsoft Research, where we have now gotten an ability to provide very effective bandwidth access using that technology, in which we give out to these local service providers. And so you now have students in Ghana with devices, with Office 365 subscriptions on their phones as well as on their computers, in their schools, using this TV white space. So that's one example of what we're doing. And if there is one thing, the PC's great advantage, and that's why I love the PC, is because of offline access. That's why I think the way we're making sure that when we write even applications for the PC, it's not all just about the browser. There's universal applications are going to be, like especially Office. And in this next release of Office, you'll see great innovation to be working offline in low bandwidth scenarios. Those are very, very important for us, and you'll continue to see us on all form factors, the phone, the tablet, the PC, innovating in that space.
Great. We have a question over here.
Hello, I am Francis Tupi from Brazil, and I want to know the news about the Minecraft applied to education.
Look, I am so thrilled about Minecraft. Believe me, when I grew up in our enterprise business, and when I became CEO, and when I was said the first acquisition that you're going to do is what? Minecraft, and it was fascinating. Most people sort of thought that that is not the place where we're going. It's just been amazing. In fact, the reason why I love what Minecraft can do in education is because it's not just a hit game, which it is, but it is an open world. It truly is perhaps the most approachable way for anyone to express themselves and learn what it means to code and be creative and collaborate and all of the things that we want kids to do. And so to me, we are very committed to taking Minecraft and making it a first-class part of what we do, just like what we're doing with OneNote or Skype for Classroom or Sway or any one of the innovations in Office. To me, Minecraft is as much part of it. We've done other things in the past, and today also we have Project Spark in the Xbox, which is about building games. We've done a language called Kudo or an IDE like Kudo. But we now want to bring all of those things to focus in the context of Minecraft. And so I'm really looking forward to it. We have a special program around, obviously, Minecraft for education. And so I'm looking forward to it. In this community, you can help us get it right. You can give us feedback on how that should work, how should it get to be important, what is the curriculum that goes with it that, in fact, can introduce kids to the different aspects of STEM education. But one of the other things that I also find is, I'm not exactly clear about the details, but Minecraft's not just a boys' game. In fact, my girls play it, and that's another big part of what I want us to be able to do, because I do believe, especially in computer science, when I think about the curriculum of computer science, in fact, I had this discussion with my daughter. I said, hey, what are you doing in your com science class? And she says, the projects are boring. But I think we all collectively have the challenge of how do we design the projects such that they really attract more girls to computer science, or to STEM in general. It's sort of more our challenge versus their challenge. So that's one of the other places where I am, because it's an open world, you can see, it's not just about a game, but you can build whatever it is that's inspiring to you.
Great. I know we have some students in the room as well. Do we have a question right here? I see. There we go.
Hi, I'm Ben from New Zealand, and we're from a really isolated part of the country, of the world, I should say. And I'd like to give my students a global perspective. I'm just wondering, from your point of view, what I should be telling my students if they are interested in working in the tech industry, like the campus here in Seattle or elsewhere where it's really thriving.
I think that one of the things that I would say is the tech industry has its own coolness. I mean, after all, I'm part of that. It's great to be building products, innovating products, but I think we're at a stage where quote-unquote technology, and in particular I'll say software, and the impact it's having broadly in every walk of life. Take your own walk of life. I mean, take education, take healthcare, take banking, take energy, manufacturing. There is not a walk of life or a vertical industry or a country that's not fundamentally changing because of what software is empowering. So one of the reasons why, it's not like, you want to do STEM or you want to do computer science only to go work in the tech industry. In fact, you want to do it because you're going to change medicine, you're going to change energy, you're going to change what have you. That's, I think, the spirit. So in some sense, I also see it, by the way, in terms of New Zealand is a hotbed of tech. In fact, I bought a company recently from New Zealand. Because, take New Zealand. There's nothing stopping a kid from New Zealand now going up onto our Azure cloud, using some of the tools, building the next big thing. And so that's the other thing. So it's a global phenomenon. It's no longer both because of what's happening with risk capital and the fact that the cost to do something big, which global reach, has come down drastically. It's the most empowering thing that has ever happened. So that would be the other message, which is you can be right there and be, one, connected to the world, and two, you can change the world. And you can pick the field you want, and you can. And so to me, those probably at least resonate with me when I think about what can be done. And that's why even the curriculums that I'm most fascinated by are these interdisciplinary curriculums nowadays. And when I look at kids, I mean, I just am so surprised when I talk to the college kids that I interview and so on, I don't even know whether I should be calling them kids anymore. I learn from them. But nevertheless, they talk about all their majors, and I said, like, wow, I feel I'm such an underperformer, which is, I hardly know even the majors they're talking about, but that's what's happening.
Thank you.
Other question? I'm sorry, back. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, do we have one here as well? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, you go ahead first.
Hi, I'm Scott, 15 years old from Renton Prep High School in Renton, obviously. At my high school, we use some of the products such as OneNote, Word, to learn about philosophy. What do you think about the new developments of OneNote and its possibilities to teach younger kids, such as first graders or kindergartners, about philosophy?
About philosophy, man. That's
Easy question.
That's an
Like
easy
one. Yes,
question.
like one.
Look, I think, to me, we can go on philosophy. I've not thought about it. All I can say is the only philosophy that I know is that it's a consolation. Right? I mean, that's really, the reason why I think everything is about the art of formulating things as questions is the beginning of philosophy. And so if OneNote can become the organizer for you to be able to ask the fundamental hard questions and keep track of them. And speaking of that, like there was this biography I read growing up of a person who ultimately went on to win the Nobel Prize in Economics out of Carnegie Mellon. His name was Herbert Simon. And the thing is, he was the father of artificial intelligence. He won a Nobel Prize in economics, and he started in University of Chicago as a student of political science. And I was like fascinated by how can someone who's a political scientist go win a Nobel Prize in economics and be known as the father of, and he was a professor of computer science at CMU. And then it turned out he asked himself one question, and he pulled that thread throughout his life, which was how do humans make decisions? And so you can see that, right? You ask such one fundamental question, how do humans make decisions? You first think about it as, oh, it's a political process or a social process. And then you go pull the thread a little more and you'll say, oh, it's about economics because it's about incentives. And then you say, oh, it is something that you can actually, we're programmed to do, and it's artificial intelligence. So to me, thinking and any tool that enables you to ask the hard questions and think is what I believe all of what we're trying to get done inside of the tools to create, tools to collaborate, tools like OneNote to keep track of things, I think help. But it's that curiosity and asking the hard questions, which I think is what's going to teach anyone philosophy as opposed to anything from a CEO like me.
I think we had a question back in this area. Or was it here? Sorry, we'll try to work around maybe a couple more.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm from India. I just have two dreams of incorporating translator within OneNote, because without the translator, we need to go for online and translate the content from English to Tamil, because all the available contents are in English. When we bring it to OneNote, again we need to take it to online for translating it. If we incorporate that,
Oh, absolutely.
it would be nice.
Absolutely. So we don't have translate as a verb on right click. That's interesting. I mean, I would have thought we would have had it.
One more dream is I have bought an Xbox by paying much of money, but I could not find out much of learning games online.
Minecraft.
Will my dream come true? Thank you.
No, but it's a good point. One of the things I always think about is Xbox and learning curriculum. One of the things that's happening in Xbox, by the way, is we're opening up the platform. You know, it's a very curated platform with a different set of the processes for how you got it. But I think that once we open up Xbox, I believe it can fundamentally change what people build in terms of content for it. The one place where I have seen it used again is in fact in these contexts of how do we make learning more inclusive, especially with the Kinect, especially with anyone who's got fine motor skills. There are a lot of things you can do with gestures, but your point is well taken.
I think we have maybe one last one here. Thank you.
My name is Irina. I'm from Ukraine. The main idea of Project The Teacher had been creating at this forum was brave, courage, leadership. What does it mean to you?
Project. So can I?
Yeah, I think you were asking, you were saying bravery, courage, and leadership?
Leadership.
Okay, what do those words mean to Satya?
Oh, okay, great. I mean, I was told about the entire conference being about courage and bravery, and it's sort of something that I think a lot about. In fact, I've used this even, lo and behold, in our earnings calls, which is that line from Nietzsche about courage in the face of reality has always stood out for me as something that I think each one of us actually exhibits on a daily basis, because I think the human condition is that, right? Which is each one of us are human, and we make progress, we strive by showing courage in the face of reality. But the one thing that I've now come to realize, perhaps that is more powerful for each one of us, is showing courage in the face of opportunity. Of course, we show courage in the face of reality, but as we see what we can do, as it relates especially to transforming, empowering others, and especially as teachers, that's what you're doing, right? Which is you are looking at opportunity every morning that walks into your classroom, and you're showing courage in face of that. Because in some sense, you are shaping the future of your society, your community, your country. And to me, that perhaps captures it. And I think having a conference like this themed around bravery and courage is just fantastic to see.
Well, thank you. We're going to have to wrap this. I know there's so many other great questions here. Please join me in thanking our CEO.